It's time.
All right. First week of golf. Golf. Purely golf? Well, I mean, we're always going to throw in a little bit of news, some NFL news.
Aaron Rodgers talked today.
Aaron Rodgers.
Got done with his cleanse.
Sounds like he's thanking everybody for retirement.
Gratitude.
Question mark?
Just gratitude, man.
This week, Honda Classic. Little bear trap action. Bear trap. By the way, we golfing Friday or are we just talking about it?
Both. You gonna talk about it? Better be about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we gotta.
That's
dominate.
fair. That's fair.
We gotta dominate.
I like
maybe,
that.
Maybe get a little. We'll do a little recording and
Just
get a
trying to
little
give you guys a
snippet,
couple
see?
weeks to get a couple lessons in, but
You don't need lessons. I don't.
there's only the only lessons going on.
It's the year of the tiger.
Yeah, teaching.
And I don't know if you know, but Tiger's like half black too. So like, we have a thing in.
Tiger's not golfing, so are you guys not?
It's the year of the tiger.
Does that mean you're out?
No, it's the year of the tiger.
Oh,
I have to be him since he physically can't. I
okay.
physically can't.
You're filling in for him.
Yeah.
I got you.
Not on the 2-year level yet.
Yes,
maybe
that's
one
fair.
day.
Just on the simulators.
Just on the simulators.
That's
Maybe we'll play from the tips and feel like it. Feel like a pro.
Yeah.
so.
All right, let's get into it.
Let's jump back. Since it is the first week of golf, we'll give you guys a rundown of what our typical golf week's going to look like. So this week we'll recap. The only thing that we're going to recap from the tournament before is our one and done picks because that was just the picks that we had before. Mm-hmm. But normal weeks we'll recap all of them. Second segment is we're going to talk about our shitty shot. So that somebody's got a shitty shot for a missed cut or the outright loser between the three of us based off of our outright winner pick.
Correct.
Next, after that, we'll go with our course breakdown. So we're going to break down yardages. We're going to break down, in this case, for the Honda Classic, we'll kind of talk a little bit more about the bear trap, 15, 16, 17, talk about what kind of hazards are out there. And then we're going to give a little bit of the weather breakdown of the week as well, see if those winds are going to affect anything. Here at this course, winds are always a factor. If they're up in speeds, it makes it a whole heck of a lot more difficult. After that, that's when we'll get into our picks. Our picks are going to be outright winner. That can be any person that you think is going to win the tournament. There's no real stipulations on that.
Whoa. The one and done first.
Oh, yeah, we do have our, yes. So one and done, our office football pool league that we have talked about in the past. So that's going to be our first pick. And then we'll go with our outright winner, who we think is going to win that week. Doesn't necessarily have to be the exact same as our one and done. We can go with a little bit more of a horse for the course on that one. Next one after that is going to be our dark horse pick. So that's got to be 50 to 1 odds or greater. So if you're looking at FanDuel, DraftKings, whatever it is, you're going to see plus 5,000. That's what it has to be. So plus 5,000 or greater. And then it's going to be our top 40 lock. What we decided as a group is it's going to be it's got to be plus odds. It can't be anybody that's, minus 250 as a lock for that top 40. But we're going to try and give ourselves a little bit more difficult of a pick. And then the last one, we're going to talk about some matchups that we like throughout the week if they're released by this time. We're talking on Tuesdays, so we got to make sure, obviously, there's going to be some withdrawals and different stuff like that throughout the week. But we're going to talk about our favorite matchups and who we like to win that matchup as well.
And it's Tuesday? Like it's like Tuesday. Too bad there wasn't like a baseball game on or something. I'm sure the superstition about twos would be just hog wild.
Amen.
Absolutely. But hey, let's back up to shitty shot
on
last
two
week,
to
right?
count
Technically,
in the second inning.
Right.
On a Tuesday on
And you're down
22, 22
And number
the score's
two's up to
2
bat.
2, and 22's pitching to 22.
And the catcher's 2. The
Yeah.
ump's number's 2. Everybody's is 2. It'd be a yaw ball without a chance. So let's talk about shitty shot last week because technically we started last week. We picked somebody.
Yeah.
And we all tied.
Yeah. So last week's
carryover times 3. Is that how that works?
Last week's breakdown.
Match play.
So
Match play. Love it.
for our one and done, Stoy took Patrick Cantlay, and Cole and I both took Cam Smith. Cam Smith was playing really, really well throughout the weekend. Cantlay, not so much. I thought Cantlay was going to miss the cut.
And was going to miss the cut. And then got hot. And then here we are.
He was only 7 shots back going into the weekend.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Right. Well, he
got him where he got
tied. So
how's it
feel? I mean, none of them won. So
And we are at the bottom. What are we? What are our rankings? Pull that up real quick.
I could pull that up. I don't know that I want to. Yeah,
I'm staying on our Twitter, so in case someone wants to.
There's a lot of people that missed the cut this week, though, so we weren't in that group at least.
That's true.
So let's see.
Super squeaky today.
Yeah, I can hear you squeak.
So Stoy,
A little WD-40.
Stoy, you're in 30th. I'm in 32nd.
Let's go.
And Cole, you are in 37th.
Hey,
Out of how many?
37.
Somebody's got to be there.
Yeah.
Last
So
place got their money back is what I heard.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure. We're in the top 10. We're in the top 7.
Worst part is I think I've only missed one cut, so I'm just really good at picking very mediocre golfers.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the trick of the trade that we've always heard is you have to make making cuts, cashing out is all the that's the key.
Right.
So you have to cash out every single tournament. Well, I mean,
kind of have to
cashed out decent. We've cashed out, but they're low amounts.
Yeah,
for sure. They're very low amounts. And there's some people. I mean, looking up at the top, one guy's got 2 wins. The top 5, it looks like right now, everybody's got at least 1 win. Everybody's has 2 top 5s, and there's multiple top 10s.
It's a long season, right?
Yeah.
They say.
Maybe we'll call and get one of those guys on.
Hey.
That kind of makes sense.
Right? How did you pick? How are you doing that? Right? That's a great idea. I love it. Okay, so
you know what one of the funniest parts about that whole top 5 thing right there? So remember when James Edwards reached out to you and said, if I'm in first after week 5 or whatever, I get to be on. That clearly didn't happen. Well, his sister's in 3rd right now.
So let's get his sister on.
Yeah, she's clearly way better.
James Edwards, we need to get your sister on. She's clearly better.
But yeah, so
let's go. Any football news before we really break down this course? Anything that you guys want to take to the forefront?
I mean, he kind of already mentioned the Roger news. The next one that what's that?
Did he mention it live?
Yeah, I thought he did.
Oh,
yeah. Before we jump,
yeah.
I mean,
so he mentioned the Aaron Rodgers news. The thank yous, the gratitude, the hint maybe that he's about to move on, but not going to move on from football and just pull a Tom Brady type deal. I don't know.
Did you find any more about the old Vikings and Panthers?
No, I didn't. I didn't have time to look at that. But Kirk Cousins,
Rappaport shut that down today.
Did he? Good.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? 2 first rounders for Kirk Cousins or something like that is what
we saw. Rumors.
He poo-pooed it on McAfee.
Okay, cool.
I mean, essentially, obviously,
that's fine. I mean,
we
didn't really dig into it, but it was one of those things. You're like, well, it was 2 firsts for, and apparently the Vikings said no.
We want more,
huh?
And that's basically what it was.
I don't know
if it was real.
Yeah,
of course. There's a lot of ifs, but
here's what I know: is Rappaport is on a ski trip right now, so that's how much he thinks about any football news that's coming out.
Yeah,
I mean that's one of the top 3 guys in the NFL. Yeah. Him, Schefter. If they're not around,
I think
there's probably not much going on.
McAfee is number 1 for me now at this point.
Oh right,
yeah.
but
yeah.
he gets those guys on his show.
Right.
Like McAfee's not getting the insider information.
You think?
Other than Rodgers.
Oh yeah, right.
Besides that, but he has great guests.
Yeah, he does. He's doing what he's doing.
Right.
He's doing well. My only news this week it's about the Chiefs, and I'm not a Chiefs fan, but 2 things. One, it's been reported that Mahomes' fiance and brother are no longer allowed on the sidelines, potentially at games.
Right, but did you see the tweet from Mahomes that he basically just said people were just making stuff up?
Yeah, I mean,
in reference to nothing, but in reference to
smoke, fire, right? So, personally, I think he'll play better. I believe that it'll be better for everyone else involved. But the second piece that has been reported, and I don't think there's been opposite reports, we had talked about Ben-Ami getting a head coaching job and why he hasn't. Apparently, the reason they've been playing bad is him and Mahomes don't see eye to eye.
About just generally speaking?
Generally speaking. About the scheme, play types, play calling, which is interesting because you think Reed's calling him, but in this report, it's talking about him and Ben-Ami not getting along very well.
Well,
at all.
So why would Reed keep him around?
I don't know. That's what it's.
And Mahomes has outwardly supported
the
enemy, but maybe that's for good reason. Maybe he's trying to get him out.
I don't know.
This guy's amazing. They should take him.
But then you back up to him not getting these jobs, and then you start to think of like who is he, right?
I mean, there's always more to it, obviously,
Oh,
than we see or hear, but
of course.
that seems odd to me with the 4 years of success that they've had.
I'm pretty sure I said that not to do that. Well, luckily you can control it. It's just the code. Oh,
so
what about Brady? You want to see that stuff about Brady? Everyone's thinking Brady's
him and Arians don't see eye to eye,
Yeah.
and so it's pretty much the exact opposite of the Mahomes case. That Arians came back from rehabbing his Achilles and told Leftwich and Brady, "We're only going to do like half of what you guys like."
You
here.
just spent
took his
hours doing.
So, I mean, and that makes more sense than the opposite
absolutely.
being true as far as like the whole Chiefs
But like
thing that seems
just
to
retire.
I mean, Giselle wants him to retire. Let's be honest. Have you guys watched Man in the Arena?
No.
Okay.
But it's probably blatantly obvious.
Oh no! Like I mean, it only goes through his Patriot Super Bowls and then covers a couple of the losses to the Giants and stuff like that. But I mean, it's fairly basic from a football perspective. But I've never been the biggest Tom Brady fan overall, and it definitely helps. In my opinion, it helped him be more likable.
Yeah.
He's very candid in it.
Him leaving the Patriots allowed him to be there.
Yeah, and it's more so not even that. It's more so just like work ethic and like mindsets and just like the stuff like that he shares. And you're just like, you know what? Like, I can really respect that.
Like a Tiger-esque, like Tiger's documentary in terms of that piece,
right? Just on a personal level of like, this is what. How he prioritizes things, how he views leadership, just those things where you're just like
okay, all right.
Yeah, I can't really disagree
that
with that.
one.
Like, right. Like as far as like what it might have looked like when we were watching X Super Bowl or this season or whatever, and then you go into it, and there's definitely gaps where they just don't go into things. He really doesn't go into Deflategate at all. He doesn't go into
Probably smart.
But like. I look at the funny thing. I look at Deflategate now, and Deflategate is a joke. And I don't really remember how I felt about it at the time.
We talked about it.
Like
when we went golfing once, because I had asked, like, obviously if you deflate a ball, you have a little better grip, but
you're not throwing a tight spiral with it.
No,
and they're
to
playing
the
in
degree,
the cold, and they beat them by 4 touchdowns.
Right.
Like so, it wasn't.
It's not gonna.
But the fact that still comes up from a legacy perspective is more so, obviously connected with Belichick, Spygate, all of that, and then you just forget, like, Tom Brady's been in the league for so damn long. Like, I mean, it spans 2 decades.
Right. There's going to be things.
Like, in my mind, I've lived 3 different lives during the time Tom Brady was in the NFL. You lived your high school life. Well, honestly, you lived a childhood.
Yeah.
I lived high school life. I lived college life. I lived pre-marriage life, I lived marriage life, and then I lived kids' life. So, I mean, that's like 5 lifetimes.
Yeah.
And that dude just
chilling.
Played in the NFL.
He's just played
He
football.
kind of goes through how he changed from, being single to becoming a parent to, taking up roots in New England and stuff like that. So, I mean, just a different perspective. And obviously, he's the one shooting it, so it better come off good because, like, he's the one producing it.
Right.
But it's very well done, very professional. Yep. And then he did the Tuck Rule, which was just one episode where
I saw snippets of that one.
where he sat down with, I'm completely drawing a blank now. No, guy from Michigan.
Woodson.
Yeah. Charles Woodson.
yeah.
Went over to his house. They sat down. They actually watched the play. They had Walt Coleman, the referee, on, stuff like that. And, basically it was a agree to disagree at the end of the day. Yeah. And, Woodson still thinks it was a fumble. Brady still thinks it was, Walt Coleman is still saying that the rule's the rule. And I mean, you watch the play and the rule is the rule. The rule's just stupid.
Right.
And that's ultimately where you end up. But, just how that changed the legacy of Brady as a whole and gave him basically a new chance to start, which he wouldn't have gotten.
Right. And used it very well. So,
yeah, I mean, you're just a man of circumstance, and he took advantage every time he was given a chance. So,
well, let's move on to this week's tournament, the Honda Classic. What was that stat you said about being how many top 10 in this tournament this week?
The field this week has none of the top 10 players in the world.
Well,
So it's a below average field this week, but it's not by a ton based off of the metrics that I was seeing, but it's definitely a below average field this week.
And why is that?
A lot of guys have played a lot early, and I think that probably my guess is that in the years past, with the way the tour sets up, that a lot of those top guys have played the Honda Classic within the last couple of years, and in order to play the other courses that they need to play by contract, that this just happens to be and people love Riv, which is where they played at Riviera last week.
It's LA, baby.
They love that course though.
Yeah,
like that course is.
There's a lot of folds.
Yeah, I think that being the case, that
does much of it play into the fact that next week is players.
I mean, yeah, but a lot of people like to play before.
But I mean, if you played a lot already, I mean, it's an easy one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't.
And they love playing the Honda Classic too. Let's not.
No, absolutely.
But I think a lot has to come into play when you say, not only have they played, but also you got the players coming up, and that's the fifth major. Still should be a major, but that's a different week, different topic. So, all right, let's get into this course, Mr. Resident Course Breakdown.
I'll pull up
his job. What camera was this? That one? This one? That one?
This is for you.
But so is this one.
But so is the straight one and that one. Either or. But this one.
Either or. Resident Course Expert.
The guru.
All right,
then we'll film him on Friday on the course and see if he sticks to the course. Are you playing it already? You kind of need to wait for me to switch the screen.
Oh, it just pops up, man. This one's not as important as the 15, 16, 17, the bear trap one.
Stop it.
It's going.
Stop the button. Stop it. It's not going for everyone else. Go push the space bar on the.
It went to sleep.
It did something. I can't click it. Oh, what just happened?
I don't know.
Oh boy, you done messed it up, hey Ron.
You told me to hit the space bar.
That's what he did. I can't like get to it. Let's try this again. Why don't you talk about the yardage and stuff
while we're
these
waiting?
Messages. We'll be right back.
So this week, Honda Classic, PGA National, the Champions Course, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. We got total yardage of 7,150. It's a par 70 for the tour players here. 2 par 5s, 3 par 4s. Based off the research that I've kind of done and what I've read, the par 3s here are some of the toughest par 3s on tour. And the par 5s here are some of the easiest par 5s on tour. The course doesn't necessarily play super, super long, but there's definitely some longer par 4s, some, over 450 par 4s that could be a challenge here. Greens, based off of what I've read, long and narrow. There's a ton of false fronts. As far as hazards go, there's a lot of water, a lot of fairway bunkers. So we'll pull up probably one of the most talked about hazardous places on this course. We'll pull it up. Bear trap of 15, 16, 17. And we'll kind of talk a little bit more on that.
15 being, is it the easiest?
I mean, yes, but the problem with 15 is it all comes down to wind because you're hitting less club. So the more wind, the lower you need to hit it to control the ball. The problem is there's not really any bailouts. So if you don't hit a good shot,
clearly the play's a cut. Aim at the bunker and cut it. And that's, what else would you do here?
And these are probably
the bunker's scary.
Right. Well, the thing is, most of the time, the green runs away from the bunker, so it's hard to get it close if you're in the bunker.
Yeah.
Which again, the wind is going to play. I mean, if the wind's blowing hard in off the coast there, you can hold that cut up. You just don't, but you miss it left, or you don't cut it enough. It's in that bunker.
Right.
You miss it right. You're in the so
16 here.
So tight fairway, bunkers on both sides with some water trouble on the right. Just under 450 yards, so it is a longer par 4. With this one, I'm not hitting the fairway here. So you guys will potentially see that on Friday, but again, it's playing over water. It's trying to play in between bunkers, and really, I think it's about approach from 150 to 175 from here. That's where that approach is going to be, and playing over that water again and keeping it out of that sand trap right there. That's going to be the key.
This one's a relatively more straightforward hole. It's really the mindset of hitting over water. Really, I think what's make it the most difficult.
To a point, but
in the green,
the
false round.
The thing with these guys is they're all long enough off the tee that as long as you're left center of the fairway, you're going to have a pretty good go at it without. Yeah. I mean, these guys hit over water all the time, so it's only if somebody decides to lay up off the tee for whatever reason, or if the wind's galing back in their face.
But that water running up that right side,
a lot different.
Yeah, that water running up that right side though of that fairway. I'm curious as to how many guys we're going to see take a driver off the tee and not just try and keep it down the middle of the fairway and just put it up there and give themselves a shot at par.
Wind is so big here though, because it impacts all of your decisions.
Yeah. Infamous
17th par 3, 190 yards. So this is
many water balls.
It's a mammoth of a hole. There was a metric out there, and I should have wrote it down to see how many actual water balls there were, and it's unreal.
And short. A lot of them are short, which is insane. But I mean, they're being precise. For us, I'm just hopefully hitting it into that bunker and then praying at that point.
I think
it also runs away from you. But yeah,
this is a good example of talking about the greens here, long and narrow. Like this is a perfect example of look at how long that green is. It seems like it'd be an easy thing to hit.
Look how majestic those birds look.
It seems like this is such a big green, but at the same time, it's pretty easy to miss long into that bunker, and it's pretty easy to miss short into the water.
Yeah, short and right off that bank happens a lot.
339 balls in the water at the Honda. That's not just 17, but
right.
It's a lot of water balls.
So if you want to switch off, that's
most on the tour.
That's the bear trap right there. That's what you guys will hear talked about most this week. Is definitely going to be that bear trap when it comes to hazards. When it comes to talking about lots of water, talking about fairway bunkers on each side.
Have you guys played there?
No.
Listeners, if anyone's played there, let us know. Obviously, indoor we have a few times, and we will on Friday. But let us know specifically if you have, and give us some feedback on that. I think as this channel grows, we're going to take it to the streets, if you will. Hopefully, one day get out there to these courses.
Yeah.
And maybe we had talked about this in the prep meeting on Monday. Of hey, good golf is killing it, right?
Yeah.
And I watch them all the time. Watch them basically every night, and not doing all full scale what they're doing and doing it from a different, betting perspective.
Right.
But I think it'd be cool for us to get out there and really, really show what we're up. So if you have any insight, let us know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we're talking a lot about 15, 16, 17, and that's going to be fun coming down the stretch at the end on Sunday. If it's a tight score for the lead, but we can't really look over 5, 6, 7. That's so 6 of arguably some of the toughest holes on tour. 5, 6, 7 is another 3-hole stretch where it's very, very difficult on there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. God, this wind, 30.
Yeah.
Of 30. It don't matter where you're playing. 30-mile gusts is not easy.
It just puts such a absolute have to score well on the par 5s and have to get off to a good start. So going into 5, 6, 7, one, you have a little momentum, but also if you do falter a little, that it doesn't hurt as much. Right. And then you get, basically 8 through 14, same type of thing is you can't kill yourself on the holes that you've got to score well on those holes to give yourself a chance, because inevitably one of those holes is going to bite you at least once, if not twice on the weekend. Right. And it's maybe not the same one, but if 2 out of 6 get you 4 days, that's a turn, your tournament's over. And maybe it turns a top 10 into a top 40 type of thing, but it's definitely one of those things where you got to make some eagles on the par 5s to take advantage and offset.
This obviously, like some courses, bombers, if they hit in the fairway, they're gonna have an advantage. Here's clearly that's obviously there, but with this wind, Who does the advantage steer to, in your opinion?
I mean, I think your obvious, European Tour players are going to have a little bit of advantage from that perspective. Nobody's really played in any weather recently, though. Right. So, you've got some guys coming off of injury. I don't think it bodes well for those guys. But, I mean, ball strikers, guys that strike the ball well. And those are, some are pretty obvious that, like I said, this field is not loaded by any means. No. So there's some pretty obvious, picks from ball striking perspective. At the end of the day, you got to make some putts to win tournaments. But as far as guys that are going to be around, some of those guys will want more wind more of the time because it will weed out the field.
Yeah.
Rahm is already famous this year for walking off the green and calling it a GD putting contest on some. So the guys at the top want the courses in the toughest condition as possible. So everybody, the critics these days are, the clubs are too long and this,
the ball
like all of those things, like technology absolutely like are making those guys more accurate. But ultimately, weather, speed of the greens, all of those things all play to the best players in the world because that's when they become at their best. And so the more that type of thing factors in, the cream is going to rise to the top there.
Yeah, and I think you guys mentioning the wind is pretty interesting. So this week, Thursday and Friday is really when all the wind is. I mean, Saturday and Sunday is when it really tapers off. So it's who's going to play well before the cut.
Right.
And I think some of those lower scores we're going to see on Thursday and Friday, or I shouldn't say lower, but worse scores are going to be on Thursday and Friday, and we're going to see those scores probably get lower and lower as the weekend goes. Whereas sometimes it's the opposite when you get harder pin placements, harder locations. But if there's a ton of wind, like you said, 30-mile-an-hour gusts, they're just going to have to play the wind, and it's probably going to be tougher to go low.
I mean, 5, 6, 7 in Bear Trap, you're surviving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know the announcers always say that every time that someone comes around, and these guys go low on those holes too. So it's not, but with this wind,
right,
all you're trying to do is survive. Mm-hmm. There's no way, like, you're really thinking, you know what, I'm going to get 4 birdies out of these 6.
Right.
There's just no way. This time you're just like, I'll hit the green, give me a couple putts, let's get out. Because this wind can eat up a lot of players, and obviously our balls are a little spinny when we hit it. A little spin on ours.
Just a bit.
If you're not a solid ball striker, right back to that, I'm squeaking all over the place still. You're going to spin everywhere, and the wind's just going to go wherever it's blowing. It's going that way, or it's stopping.
Yeah, you got to be able to flight the ball. You got to be able to obviously strike the ball clean. I just think that there's.
This is where I've only been involved with golf for a decade now. Seems like that's a small number, but like this is exciting because now it's truly like when you get into tournaments or playing with everyone, it's usually I'm trying to beat that person.
Right.
Like this is the one where when the wind and the weather's involved, it's you and the course, and that's what excites me the most. Is because these guys then they just tune everything out and hit great shots because I believe they're more focused because they can't.
But that's why
they can't make mistakes.
That's why the best players in the world thrive in those conditions.
Absolutely.
Because from a mental perspective, they can remove the exterior noise and focus in and continue to hit golf shots when the conditions aren't perfect.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these guys that have made the tour obviously are great ball strikers.
They're above average.
But when you start throwing in, all of the different things, the different courses will throw at you, and whether that's, weather conditions, putting greens, types of grass. Here in Iowa, we don't get a ton of different types of grass, but there are different types of grass out there, folks.
And there's different types of courses here.
So
we got that.
Well, right.
We got a couple links and a couple traditionals, and
So you can find some pretty big difference in putting green speed.
It's tough.
But, different level on tour, and again, the conditions are going to bring out.
Yeah, so that's one thing that was talked about this week, or that I've seen is there hasn't been a ton of rain down there lately, which typically Florida, you're going to get that tropical weather. There hasn't been a ton. Now it's supposed to rain today, I think is what they said. Mm-hmm. But I don't think just one day of rain is going to impact it much. I mean, unless they're getting it just a downpour. it sounds like greens are going to be fast, which, just like you talked about, that's playing to the best players in the world.
Yep.
Yeah, and which is kind of falls in the hand of Thursday, Friday. Usually pin placements are easier, right? Let them go score. They're still going to be easier, but
yeah, I mean it'll be interesting to see what the tour does on the weekend. Depending on how the scores are.
Yeah.
You might see some easier weekend pin placements
than usual. Yeah,
but if they know that the weather's going to calm down, then maybe not. So, and no courses want to be scored on.
No.
Like
right.
Yeah,
you obviously have to make them fair, and it's hard to. Honestly, it's hard as precise as the tour guys are. It's hard to make a course overly difficult if you're hitting fairways and hitting greens, just because everything's so precise with those guys. But they love it when they get these types of conditions. They can obviously keep you maybe mid double digits.
Where would you guys like to see it? What would you like every tournament to be at? Well, not every.
Like, what's the perfect number as far as like? I mean, I don't like it when it's close to par. I like it a little bit more, a little more excitement than that. I'd say I'm probably in the 8 to 12 range.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm a preteen kind of guy, so I'm like that 10, 11, 12 is kind of where I'm at.
That makes sense.
The youngin.
Preteens. Preteens.
I don't know if it's just because I'm a defensive guy, but I would love not every tournament.
Right.
Most tournaments I would love to see 6 to 12.
Right.
But at least a couple tournaments a year, I would love to see some overs. I really would. Not because of weather though. I don't want it to be so hard that what's the point of playing?
Right, but
I want to see it because I want to see them struggle sometimes.
That's a problem though right now with the technology is that it either has to be weather or it has to be
like they let it dry out so hard.
Impossible. Like
you're putting on glass.
Well, that's the thing is like that's not true. It's not fun to watch really good guys, and it's not fun to have it happen ourselves. And that's really the only place where they can really take strokes away from the best guys in the world is making pin placements impossible to either lag to or so fast that they can't hold the green on the way in. And so I would love that if every place grew up the rough, that's fine.
Absolutely.
Because you can take, put more of a, hit the ball in the fairway. I don't care how you have to do it. You got to hit the ball in the fairway or you're going to get punished. Yeah. Those types of things I think they can do more of. But essentially, like, if somebody's locked in for a week and there's no weather,
it's game over.
Yeah, weather has to play a role. That's why, St. Andrews is
what do you guys
place you get
feel of what Tigger said this weekend of one simple way of tuning down all of the situations?
Spin control,
mm-hmm. Making the ball more spinny like it used to be. What do you guys feel about that?
I mean, the whole idea for manufacturers is like you're gonna have to ban stuff because manufacturers are then gonna try to find a way to make
the less spinnier of
ball
spin balls
do better. Like perfect. So like playing slow pitch softball. Slow pitch softball had a certain core of ball that comes off a bat at a certain speed. And then they were like, oh, these bats, the ball comes off, 120 miles an hour. We need to take that down to 100. So what do? They make the bat softer. So what do they do in response to that is they make the ball softer. So now that ball comes off with more of a trampoline effect. Now, yes, technically speaking, it's coming off at a slower speed. But as far as reaction time, like you're getting the same trampoline effect. So like that technology is just always going to be chasing itself.
Right.
Obviously you can take distance off, but these guys are hitting 230-yard 6-irons.
I mean, they're carrying 320, 340.
I mean, they're able to hit balls with 7-irons at 220-yard 7-iron, and that's a 3-iron all day. 15, 20
with blades that are technically supposed to drop your yardage by however much.
So I mean, but there's not going to be a simple fix.
I'm surprised Tiger said that. I was surprised when I was watching the interview that he said that. It didn't make any sense to me. And the only thing that makes sense is that he's getting older and that's how he wants to compete, to be honest.
Or
That was the only
was
thing
it
that
was
went
it like or has he been getting pounded with this Saudi thing and making? I don't know. I believe that they need to do something. And like he said, it's too late. He literally said it's too late to make these big structured events, but the ball would be where he would go. And I think what they have it already somewhat, but they need to make it more black and white of there's pro level stuff and there's amateur level stuff.
Well, I mean,
that line is not very defined right now between rules, equipment, everything. That's where I believe they could do some increasement too. But eventually, we're running out of space. Golf courses can't get bigger. They can't get longer. It is what it is.
Right, but like if you make and like I play, I mean, you played with Joe.
Yeah.
Like if I move Joe up in the simulator, Joe plays worse. So like in honesty, you go shorter. Because you can't hit driver. And hey, you want to hit driver? Go ahead. There's water there. There's a bunker there. There's something else there. You move those guys up to you can't move them. The problem is you can't move them up so far that they can go for the green. It's just got to be somewhere where, if you're going to drive now you are in the 80-yard range, which tour players hate.
Yeah. Plus.
And will they just adapt and start being really good at 80-yard shots? Most likely. Or will they hit 3-wood, 320? I mean, that's the thing. They're hitting 3-woods further than driver average 20 years ago. Right. They're hitting 2 irons, staying them through the wind, 260-yard carry. So there's only so many things you can do, but to me, the answer is shorter, not longer.
Does anyone know the rules of can they move tee boxes every other hole? Just keep playing with them that way?
I mean, they can move tee boxes every day because
not every day. I mean,
this hole you're playing from the tips. This hole you're playing from the whites. This hole you're playing from the reds. This hole you're playing from
that would be something that would be easy to do,
right?
And just mess with their yardages as much as possible while cutting down the time of the between shots, right? I mean, because some of these guys
just not letting you
just not getting in the rhythm.
Yes, so you don't get a swing driver 8 holes in a row,
or driver wedge,
7 out of 9.
Driver wedge. You have to think.
So that would be interesting to say. Okay, they're changing pin placement, so they're making it a tougher approach shot or a different approach shot every single day, right? But if you change that tee box every single day too, and you're making this course play, 7150, like I said, and then the next day you take
750 or
you
whatever.
take 200
or
yards
the
off
same,
the course.
but
it's just
I think so maybe
that's
a good one.
Maybe it just
maybe
that's one thing that they
can
do.
Way easier is 1 variation, but 2 shorter rather than longer because it's not the distance just doesn't matter. I read before we were on that. Augusta got 150 yards longer, and it's
cool.
But the one hole they made longer,
changed it.
Actually got easier.
Yeah.
Rory's quoted as they moved the tee box over, they took trees out. Well, these guys are just going to hit at 340 instead of so it's not playing as much as a dog leg anymore.
Yeah.
It's it's a 590 yard par 4,
but it's par 4.
But it doesn't
normal.
And it doesn't matter.
Right.
Those guys are still going to be hitting driver 7-iron in, and now probably hit more fairways because of what they did. And it's you made that longer, but what did you do?
The wrong length.
Well, you basically said that Jim Furyk and Zach Johnson can't play that hole in 3 strokes.
Right.
It's going to be more like an eagle opportunity for them because they're going to have to hit driver 3-wood. But how many of those guys are on tour anymore? 5.
Yeah.
It's just not. I mean, it's the young guns that can all.
Absolutely.
Even the little 5'8" dudes hit at 340. Man,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
they generate a lot of speed.
It's crazy.
So,
all right.
So before we dive into our picks, I do have
get more drinks.
Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely.
Bamboo?
Yeah, obviously.
Well, I mean, you're good. You've been there's a nipple on that one.
Well,
hey,
he made himself a bad drink.
I did.
What'd you do?
Well, I used light rum instead of dark rum with dark soda, and that doesn't mix well.
In college when you just ask for whatever.
Well, we don't really have, in his defense, we don't really have an in between rum. You're not gonna put bamboo with. I would have slapped him if he would have used bamboo in a Coke.
You could have used the other bamboo that's like a bourbon.
Yeah, that's true.
I could have done that, but
that would have been the play.
It still wouldn't have been. So
right,
let's. When we want to do this, do we want to go? You guys can't see this. Bottom to top, or do we want to how do we want to do ours?
So I think our last pick should be our one and done picks.
Okay, so we'll go bottom top.
Yeah, I was just saying it doesn't necessarily matter which order we go, but our last one should be our outright winner and our one and done because that's our shitty shot and then our actual one that we're keeping track of.
Let's go outright, fade, top 40, dark horse, one and done.
Perfect. So before we dive into those, so there was some metrics that I was reading and we hit on them.
The damn metric,
but we hit on them a ton. So one of the main ones that was talked about was strokes gained off the tee. Now you mentioned a lot about the big bombers, the driving distance. That was part of it, but it's more so, are they accurate? It's their driving accuracy here. So can they hit their 2-iron stinging, 260, 270? Can they keep their 3-wood, 310, 320? Or are they going to spray their driver all over the course and they're going to hurt themselves? So sometimes being, having this crazy distance, but being all over, it'll hurt here. Next one on here was, again, Cole's favorite, ball striking. And more importantly, green in regulation. So on this course, it was a 60% green in regulation is what I saw, which is below the tour average by quite a bit.
Yeah.
Next one here, approach. And more specifically from 150 to 200 yards. That's kind of their sweet spot that every site that I saw was their sweet spot was 150 to 200 yards. How good are you in those distances? And that seems like a big distance, but that's not a ton of clubs within that.
It's like a pitching wedge and 9-iron and 8. Like that's the 3 that those guys are doing.
Yeah.
That's why you want to see the win because 17 is a perfect example. It's a 190-yard shot. That shot this week, one, that tee box can play probably anywhere from 175 to 200. And 2, depending on wind direction, you can get anything from maybe you see a guy hit a wedge, but 9-iron for sure, to 4 or 5 iron if that wind is back at you.
Yeah.
And so that's always, just makes things more interesting that guys have to be more observant. Caddies are going to have their cues as far as flags around the course, what they're looking at, and, just trying to set their guy up for success the most time. But the worst golf shot to hit, and it doesn't matter if you're the beginning amateur or the best professional in the world, is the one where you don't have confidence. And if you're not feeling the shot, and that's what the wind brings in, is
feels off.
That's why the balls go in the water. If you don't trust it, then you're not going to swing it how you need to, and it doesn't matter if your swing sucks or if your swing's the best in the world. If you don't trust it, it's probably not going to be great.
Yeah,
crazy the mindset of that. Just there's sometimes you're like, nope, this is nope, and then you're just like, I hope it really goes well for how bad it's going to be.
Right.
And then
just hope it's in play.
Yeah. So next one we got here, and this goes along with false fronts and all the bunkers that there is strokes gained around the green. So there's a lot of sand. How are you going to scramble from the sand? If you miss and you hit one of those false fronts, how are you going to play around that green? Are you going to put yourself close? Are you going to 2-putt and then, which falls straight into the last one? And I have 3-putt avoidance on here just because dry, fast, but probably more so is a better metric of bogey avoidance on here. How close can you put those around the green shots to safe pars?
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, and there's going to be bogeys this week. This is
absolutely.
a course where you've got to avoid the doubles and the triples, and you've got to make your birdies when they present themselves. So,
like on the par 5s.
Absolutely.
All of them.
So then the last thing we got, course history a little bit. Past winners, for those who are making their own picks, have had a top 15 finish here in the past prior to winning. And then their current form, so how they've played on the West Coast, has been a pretty good indicator in the past too. So if they're playing well on some of those West Coast courses, they're getting top 10s, they're getting top 15s, they're getting top 5s, they're even winning. That's been a good indicator that they're playing pretty well over here as well.
Bodes well going into our outright winner picks.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not so much for Ryan, but for Cole and I.
Yeah.
Based upon those stats.
Yeah, so I mean,
the favorite.
I went chalk on this one, and this is one where I've read a lot of stuff that said chalk can go to die on this course with the winds, with stuff on Thursday and Friday. If you're not going to play well those days and you miss the cut, then, well, sorry about it. But I'm taking Sung J M. He's my outright winner this week. He's at plus 1,300, 13 to 1. I just think ball striking wise, especially in the past, this dude's been unreal. His strokes gained off the tee too. I mean, I think he ranks like second or third right now, so I like that.
I'm just going with performance over the last few weeks and Alex Noren. That's really it.
Yeah, and Brooksy, guy's a ball striker. Field is weak. I think he's played well, but he hasn't played up to his standards. I mean, he's not in the top 10 right now. So,
yeah, Louis is the highest ranking in the field this week, and he's 13th.
Right. But we'll get back to him.
We'll get back to him. Off camera, though, you had said about Koepka, like, mentally, is he going to be motivated enough?
Right. And what led me back to this is the fact that he hasn't played well. If he has, then I think he needs to get back in that spot of, because he's a little bit different mindset on the course than a lot of tour players. More of a athlete thought than a golfer thought, just from like, oh, I'm going to go out there and kick the shit out of these guys type of thing. Where, and maybe takes, or at least frames things more personal, like if the golf course is beating him and type of thing. And I feel like he played well at the Phoenix Open. He struck the ball well, but hasn't finished as well as he's actually struck the ball throughout the week. So I think he's just, that's why I'm going with outright winner.
Well, that's fair. And I think Stoy made a good point. The players being next week, that's kind of like a major for a lot of guys. And where does Brooks Koepka play well?
Right.
So his form's probably coming around for that tournament. Mm-hmm. So I like that. So next
week, right? I didn't just make that number.
It's with
date up, right?
It might be 2 weeks.
Hold, please.
Now that I'm thinking about it.
13 days from today.
So yeah,
March 8th. So yeah, 2 weeks. Makes sense.
No, it's next weekend. So we're talking about on Tuesday. We'll be talking about the players
Tuesday,
next week.
And I'm feeling like it's Thursday, Friday.
We'll be talking about the Players Championship next week.
Yep.
Lord.
So next one we said we're jumping to.
I'll get. Well, I'll back up. Noren's plus 3,100. Koepka's 2,000, and M is at 1,300 as of Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I guess we should probably say that.
So then what we'll do, if you guys remember, we talked about our shitty shot. What we'll do is we'll look at their actual finish next week. Mm-hmm. If all of us miss the cut, well, all of us are taking a shot.
Are you giving us some strokes?
What?
You got the favorite.
Your guys. Well, first off, Cole's ranked higher than mine in the world golf.
Hey, you got the favorite of the week. I think you give us a couple strokes.
How many strokes are you guys giving me Friday? Because
the same amount.
Your choice.
Your choice.
Oh, yikes! All right, next one. Which one do we decide? Player to fade.
Player to fade.
Player to fade.
This one is easy for me until he can prove himself, because he hasn't in a very long time. That's Matt Wolff. Wolfie.
So real quick, these are top 15 or top 20 in regards to their odds to win the tournament. We're not trying to pick somebody that's 80th in the tournament. We're like, yeah, they're going to miss the cut. This is our player we're fading. Nope, that's not what we're trying to do. So the player to fade is going to be top 20, top 15-esque. So
yeah, Wolfie, he's got to prove something. He has not played well. Injuries and early success followed by a Spieth-esque fall after, and he's got to prove it. I just don't like it this week.
I'll let Ryan go last year because I think it's funny.
I'm
going to go with Daniel Berger. He's plus 1,600 to win. One of the favorites this week. Nursing back injury, and the guy if he's healthy, he might win because he's a great ball striker, plays the course well. So he fits all of the favorites. He didn't play last week because of health. Withdrew 2 tournaments ago and so I don't trust that he's back. I think this is a tune-up. So more so let's test the waters type of thing. Hopefully for real, since I'm fading him. But that's my reasoning to fade him is you gotta show me before I'm gonna bet you, and he's gonna be a lot of guys. He's in a lot of guys, fantasy lineups. He's in a lot of top 5s. He's in a lot of top 10s. If he plays well, he's definitely gonna end up there. But if he doesn't,
it's a tough start.
It's possible a withdrawal. It's possibly a miscut because of just not being fully back. So
that and like you're not fully back. You're testing it into
wind
for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like that's
so.
If you're gonna test it though, it's a way to test it.
Right.
So my player to fade goes directly against Stoy's outright winner. Alex Noren is my player to fade this week. The reason is one of the metrics that I liked when I was talking about it is off the tee. And currently Alex Noren is 141st on tour off the tee. And his ball striking is 171st.
I see why you went with him, though. The wind. You think the wind's going to blow it back into the fairway.
So I just haven't when I saw the ball striking, when I saw ball striking, that was my biggest play this week is got to be a great ball striker. Now he is European, so that does it's weird that are these because they're American metrics, maybe less wind? Is he used to playing in the wind? So maybe his ball striking improves over once we get into these windier courses, windier days. That could be, but this is just my player to fade this week.
And I don't know if it has anything to do with their ball striking. I think it has everything to do with that little bit of edge mentally that you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Right? Like
absolutely.
We used to do it when Jacksonville used to come up play us. Like they're coming up to play colder weather. Mm-hmm. And not that we love cold weather by any means, but it gives us that edge. It's warmer for us. It's just that little thing.
Well, and I think practice in it.
Yeah, right. And I think Europeans growing up that way in something windier that's off, it bodes better for them. And I bet the stats followed up. I don't know how to find that out, but I bet the stats are better that way.
Yeah, for sure.
So how are we going to look at that from a success standpoint?
It says actual finish.
So actual finish. So where they finished. So obviously
where they start to where they finished.
Right, but like I'm picking a guy that's favored to be top 5.
Yeah. So if he's
the gap
5,
between
the gap.
Okay.
So you have to figure out build the sheet.
That's fine.
I thought you spent all day building the sheet.
I did.
No, but that's exactly what it would be. It'd be whatever their starting position is. The difference.
So is it safe to say, and we haven't done a tiebreaker just yet, that can be our tiebreaker? Is
tiebreaker for
so shitty shot if we needed a tiebreaker?
I thought there wasn't one. I thought it was either
so if we
your guy won or you have a shitty or the worst. If it's a tie for the worst, they
both guys. Okay. Okay. So no tiebreakers.
Right. So
perfect.
for like technically,
since
all
we can
of us
tie
won and lost last week.
Since we can tie in golf,
that's a tiebreaker situation. Like, what do you do there? But that's a tiebreaker situation. Correct.
All right. Perfect. All right. So next, let's
top 40.
Yeah, let's do top 40. I like Dark Horse as our last one before one and done. So top 40 picks. Cole, you haven't started yet, so let's let you start on this category.
Mito Pereira, bud. Great ball striker. He's in a lot of daily fantasy lineups. Guy that has played well this year. Played the course decent over the years, but he's a lot of sleeper picks. He wasn't quite plus 5,000. I think he was plus 4,100 to win, so it didn't go with him there. But I think he has a good week and probably finishes actually even top 30, top 20. But he's plus 100 for top 40. So
very solid.
Yeah,
that's solid. Lee Westwood, babe. You know what I'm saying? Look at again. We're going with the overseas.
Is his wife on the bag?
I hope so.
Is this the Saudi Golf League?
He's been basically. He's been in
excuse me,
top
Super
forms
Golf League.
Over the last 18 months, and he has in a lot of years. I think it's just an old man course with the old man weather, and I think he gets it done. Top 40. He's plus 125. I mean, it's not like we're going crazy. Just make the cut. He'll make the cut. He'll be fine. He'll do it.
Just make the cut.
Yeah. So I I'm also plus 125. I'm with Michael Thompson here, and honestly, my dark horse and my top 40 were going to be flip flopped. I kind of went back and forth with them, but I like my dark horse to win it more than I like Michael Thompson to win it. So I think Michael Thompson will get into the top 40. He's actually been playing really, really well as of late, and that was one of our things to look for as current form. Okay. So
you know,
I like Michael Thompson at plus 125 to finish our top 40.
Our like big parlay thing, like our thing we're gonna do. Yeah, we got to do that. We got to get that going. I mean, that fizzled out.
I can build.
I hope we didn't win for weeks.
I'll build that.
But we got to get that back in here.
Did.
We never hit one.
Yeah,
that's fine.
But
we don't
ever.
Dark horse. That's fine. Rules.
Aren't quitters. Dark horse rules. So it's got to be plus 5,000 or more. So that's 50 to 1 odds, if that's how you understand it. But plus 5,000 or more if you're looking on DraftKings, FanDuel. So, I mean, I can start since mine's closest to plus 5,000. So I like Denny McCarthy this week. Denny McCarthy is plus 5,500. He's actually had some really, really good recent form. Has had some good finishes here. The only thing that I don't love is that he's missed. So I think he went top 3 last year and then missed the 3 cuts before that at this tournament. So he's kind of a go for broke kind of guy in this one. But he's really, really good around the green, and his ball striking is really good. So I like Denny McCarthy this week at plus 5,500.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, Young Hoon Lee.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
No,
boy.
for you.
All striker. Doesn't have the best record. In the last 3 here, he finished 7, 36, and a missed cut. And not the hottest for this week, but is a natural ball striker in general. And I think, again, I think the highlight of this week, probably every week, is ball striking, but legitimately this week, when you have weather, it's ball striking. We've hit upon it 100 times. So give me some Hoon Lee.
He's
you know why I love that
31st,
number?
tied for 31st in the world right now in ball striking.
31, baby.
Well, I mean 14.
31.
Him, right?
I'm not gonna
college number.
I'm not gonna say the rest of it because
Don't do that. There's a lot
I
of
was gonna
codes
say-
tied to that. Please don't
say
do
a
that.
specific set of
but
numbers in a
31,
row.
college. College number.
Yeah, I'm
What
not
number,
gonna do
boy?
that one.
So 31. I'm going with you, Hoon Lee. Let's go.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
he didn't
He
realize what it was then.
no, I didn't know.
Okay,
They
you
know.
did know that
Yeah.
it was his college.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, let's go.
Gotcha.
I know.
Just want to make sure.
That's a slow pitch number, by the way. 31, the dirty one. That's
Rodgers.
Perfect.
rah.
Oh, I've got Aaron Rye, Englishman. Aaron Rye. He's played well. One miscut at Sony this year, but besides that, has played well. Struck the ball well. European, plus 7,000. We've had one on almost every tournament. The guy you're not expecting to be in that top 5 coming down the stretch. So he's my dark horse this week.
There we go. I mean, he's hitting the ball pretty well too. I mean, I think he's like 75th right
He doesn't
now.
do any.
in ball
There's nothing
striking.
that he wows with. It doesn't seem, but like he's just a very consistent player
So I mean,
and young up and coming guy.
So I did look at this up on him because he was potential for that pick. From 175 to 200, he's 35th when it comes to approach.
Yep.
So that guy, I mean, there's a couple things here where basically he needs to hit the green because he struggles with pitching.
Yep.
But other than that, I mean, there's nothing that should steer you away from that pick. I like that pick. So, last one, boys. One and done pick.
One and done's.
So I'll pull this up. I want to see what this tells us. So one and done this week. The Honda Classic is...
We'll let the old Chalkster go first here.
Hey, Honda Classic is the 13th highest payout on tour right now. So, yeah, like he said, I'm going chalk here. I like Sun JM. He's right at the top there, and he falls into
But he's going to stick to it.
Strategy that's not working out very well for me this year, but
He's going to stick to it.
exactly, I'm sticking to it. So I like Sung JM for my one and done pick and my outright winner this week.
Faster going through your.
I mean, I can pull up everything that you want on this guy because I actually did some research on him to make sure. Hey, are you making the right pick? 6th in ball striking, 2nd in strokes gained around the green, 10th off the tee, 4th strokes gained total. So I mean, his ball striking. The only thing that worries me a little bit might be his approach because he's 64th on strokes gained approach. That's the only real metric that is kind of wishy-washy and maybe, but it's still above average on tour. So that's who I like this week.
How much do his balls like the water?
I'm going to stick with my Europeans.
Just curious.
I don't know.
Tommy Fleetwood. Now, you can look up ball strike and all that for me real quick. You can't? Oh, look at that, because he hasn't played that well. But 7th in the Zozo.
He doesn't have metrics this year because he hasn't played a lot.
Well, and he
yeah, but you should have seen him on the range.
Last Hyundai Classic 2018, 3 and 4 finish. If you look, you guys can't see it, but 10 of our 15 picks are non-Americans. Of that, 8 are Europeans. 7 technically you doubled, so whatever. And I'm just gonna go with it. Little Fleetwood action.
Yeah.
Which probably bodes, right into what you're about to say. Louis. I love me some Louis.
Yeah, I mean, Louis also hasn't played a ton. A little bit of injury, I think, to start the year. Kind of came back last week. In my mind, was his warm-up week. Again,
14th in waste
the guy
management.
can play in any weather, under any conditions, and he finds a way to kind of battle through. Number one in
yeah, not this course though.
Hitting.
Have you
hitting
seen
the
his
greens?
history?
He hits greens.
Are you sure?
That's fine.
Are you sure you're sure?
Yes. Yep. Positive.
He is so.
I mean, he's plus 2,000 for a
He
reason.
has 2 finishes out of 8.
I mean, so currently, right now, he is the highest ranked golfer in the world when it comes to this course.
I mean,
That's fine.
smart.
That's why I went with somebody else for my outright.
Hours. But I love me some Louis.
Right. Louis and Brooks, same type of idea here is that Louis hit the ball well, and if he's going to get back into form for players, for Masters, which is, a month and a half away, those types of guys are going to start playing better. Absolutely. And they're going to start finding ways, to will their way around a golf course. So in a weaker field, with conditions that are favorable to his style of golf, I think he's going to put the ball around the hole and give himself a chance. So
yeah, I mean, looking at stuff here for Louis, the big thing that he has to look at is his putter.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely,
and that's the only thing holding him back from winning this tournament. Is if he struggles with his putter, he's still going to be at the top because he puts the ball so close. His strokes gained are great, but the putter is the only thing that would probably keep him from winning, is because he's below average on tour with the putter.
Yeah. With the field the way that it is, there's not a strong feel overall. I think the conditions are going to, what if it's only 12 to 15 mile an hour winds or 10 to 12 mile an hour winds?
Yeah.
It kind of completely changes the aspect of everything, the mindsets of
like this one.
And that's
how aggressive these guys are going to be on the course.
You want to tee off early. The wind's not going to be. Winds really is lower usually in the morning, right? So you want an early morning.
Right.
Really is lower usually in the morning. So you want an early morning.
Right.
So that's what's actually kind of weird here, just based off of stuff. Early in the morning, at least on Friday.
On Friday,
it's some of the highest
Friday.
speeds that it's going to be.
I'm saying Thursday. I'm talking about you
die out.
You want early
When
late.
it does die out, yeah. Thursday it picks up.
Early.
Yeah.
You want early late.
Which
according,
I mean, if you go
so we
early
got
late,
Thompson.
and have they released two times yet?
Top. Let's Outright Runners or one of those.
those.
He's early late.
So you got Michael Thompson's early late.
Koepka early late. Fleetwood.
Because if you're early, you're going to be late. So
Koepka early late. Fleetwood early late. Norin 10:45. That's middle.
Mito is early on Thursday.
Middle.
At least. I see that.
So that means that at that point,
he'll be mid.
Westwood,
Ray and Mito are both
middle,
early
middle,
on Thursdays.
and then everyone else is gonna be afternoon. I have no idea.
Is it?
Have you guys
Ray or
followed
Rye?
Wesley Bryan and
Aaron
his brother on
Rye.
YouTube?
I thought it was Rye too. Okay.
Oh my lord, their channel's pretty sweet too. I like it. I love it. Once more.
That's it.
Other
That's
golf news I didn't really see, but the Foreplay
Home was
podcast was playing
Social media god.
Max Homa and a best ball
That's
today.
awesome.
He,
It's just a Tuesday.
they're like,
And
oh, this
he
is the best day of our
probably
lives. Out of that, he's like, yeah, it's just a Tuesday for me.
I mean, it was a foursome versus one.
I don't know. It was even through two. Was the last update that
There's
I saw
actually,
on Twitter.
but I think there's like one or two guys on that Foreplay pod that
Yeah, but
are
if you're not-
actually
if you're not-
pretty darn good at golf. I think who's the lefty on that?
To be fair,
Yeah, the
4v1,
lefties there.
He's
it
their
should be
ringer.
a close match regardless. Right? I mean, because if you think about ours, I mean, you're putting for a
don't
birdie every
disagree, I
time.
just-
He's going to putt for a birdie 90% of the time.
Yeah.
That's probably on his Twitter.
And I don't,
Just follow
honestly,
home.
I'm not even sure what course they were playing.
It's called Search.
It is. I got too many
Homa.
things on my feed. Just trying to find an update. I don't know.
It's a Tuesday for me.
There we go.
That was it. Gotta go to Riggs.
Things are tense on 17.
I'm telling you right now, though, guys,
didn't
this
do too
for,
bad.
for our first week and
bad.
figuring it out a little bit on our breakdowns, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. I'll hype us up a little bit there. Obviously, these course breakdowns are probably going to get better as the time goes on. Once we have, it kind of figured out and delegated it a little bit, and then our picks are only going to get better too. I think being able to break down these courses and seeing some of this stuff is just going to fall right into our hands. Of hey,
Yeah. I mean, the only thing
Let's
that
be a little
makes
bit
it tougher
strategic
for
and
us on
let's-
our one and done
let's
is
make
the
these
fact that
picks
we're picking
well.
on Tuesday. We're saying it. As opposed to usually we'd have, Wednesday, even a little bit of like Thursday super early, right? So
Yeah.
I like, it'll be interesting to see how we improve there.
Right.
Clearly, since we're at the top 7 of the bottom, I think we'll be okay. We're at the if you flipped the
Yeah.
chart,
Top
we're
of
at the
anything.
top.
You're at the top of the bottom.
You'd win. You would win if we flipped it.
I would get my money back.
If we went reverse,
I mean, most of the time that's how it works.
what I wouldn't take it.
No, I know, but I mean, I wouldn't take them. I wouldn't take the money. I'd donate it to
golf
my
course.
favorite charity,
As is tradition.
Oh man.
the golf course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if the golf course donates to a
Um,
charity, right? So the golf
yeah.
course is my favorite charity.
I mean, what else? Besides Ryan, your job.
Yeah,
be short
I mean, I can't think of anything else. I don't know if you guys got anything, but
Would be. I said
as,
it would be
as they're
if
thinking,
we didn't have an hour
short and sweet here.
prep.
Thanks for tuning in. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but
May the wind blow hard,
exactly.
and the greens roll firm.
That's good. That's good. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And if you're not tuning in live, find us on YouTube. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you guys listen. Tune in. We'll be on Twitter. We'll be on Instagram. We'll be on TikTok. TikTok has seemed to be pretty good for us, so I can't wait.
Can't
to,
either. So
we
we
got
can say
roasted a
bring
lot
it.
during football season, so I can't wait to get roasted
I'll
during
pay
golf
for your
season.
round. Bring it.
It's time